Book of the Origin of Man. We will read Genesis chapter 3 according to the oldest complete text of the Old Testament, Septuagint. It will also explain and understand, analyze some of the aspects of the text with help of some quotes from the New Testament, from the book of Revelation and from the Gospel of Matthew. As a note, please be aware that the text which we read is a direct translation from the Greek language, and the grammar is also reflecting the Greek grammar. So please don't be disappointed that some phrases are not according to the English grammar. Let's start with verse 1. But the serpent was most skilled of all the wild beasts of the ones upon the earth whom made the Lord God. And said the serpent to the woman. Interesting account, right? Talking serpent. I've never heard of, or I've never met a talking serpent. There are no talking serpents as well as other animals. So what is happening here? Someone is using snake as a media. Someone else is talking. We will discover later who is that. But in this case, serpent is media. And this serpent now is saying something to woman. What? Let's read. For why, said God, no way should you eat from all of a tree of the paradise? And said the woman, from fruit of the tree of the paradise we shall eat. But from the fruit of the tree which is in the middle of the paradise, God said, eat not from it, nor touch it, that you should not die. And said the serpent to the woman, not to death will you die. Knows for God that in whichever day you should eat of it, will be opened wide your eyes, and you will be as gods, knowing good and evil. And beheld the woman that is good the tree for food, and that it is pleasing to the eyes to behold, and is beautiful for contemplating. Let's take a look at this part of the account. What happened? Media, snake, is giving some news to the woman. So you can notice that the history of media is as old as the history of mankind. And in this case, snake is presenting some news. But let's see if the information presented by snake really reflects the truth and the realities. In previous chapter of the book of Genesis, we could read chapter 2, verses 16 and 17. And gave charge the Lord God to Adam, saying, from all of a tree of the one in the paradise food you shall eat. But from the tree of the knowing good and evil you shall not eat from it. But in whatever day you should eat from it, to death you shall die. So first of all, God is saying, from all trees you can eat, with one exception. And the special tree, if you eat from that, you shall die. Very clear information. Now, it's interesting how the serpent phrases the question. Serpent is turning this somehow and is presenting it, that is it, or why God said that you should not eat from all of trees of the paradise. So the serpent is presenting it that people should not eat from all the trees, and is saying why God said like that. So he doesn't understand. It's strange, but this is not what God said. And the woman is here explaining how is the situation, and she explains it well. But then the serpent says that this is not as God said. The serpent said, not to death you will die. So here, the serpent is saying something exactly opposite to what God said. God said, you will die. Serpent is saying, you will not die. Oh, totally opposite. Interesting. Somebody is saying truth and somebody is lying. Yes, totally different information published here or presented here by the snake, by the serpent. Moreover, the serpent presents more news. He's saying that God knows something. God knows something, but this knowledge is hidden from people, from the woman. It is hidden. God has a secret. He doesn't want to reveal this secret. He's keeping the secret to himself. And now the snake is revealing this secret, that as soon as you will eat from the tree, your eyes will be opened wide. You will be as gods, knowing good and evil, being as gods. Why gods? Why gods here is plural? Oh, the serpent is talking about two gods. We know them and we discussed it in the previous chapters, that all the time two lords are involved. The lords which Jesus explained as God and himself and Jesus Christ. So God and Jesus Christ, but the serpent refers to both of them here as gods. So they are both gods. And interestingly, the information which are presented here in verse 5, if we look at them, and later when we read the chapter, this chapter 3, we will read it together, we'll discover that the serpent is actually saying the truth. But the truth is presented in a very special way. So the woman has plenty of trees, plenty of fruits, she can eat more than enough. And there is one tree which is not important. But in this case, the serpent, Medea, magnify this one tree as the extremely important one. And the serpent presents this tree in that way that after consuming of those news, the woman is fully occupied by this topic. So she was happy until that moment. Yes, living in perfect house in the paradise, having all the trees which she could only imagine and eating from them all the wonderful tasty fruits. She was fully happy. She had perfect life. But since that moment, since listening to those news, the happiness was gone. Now she was dealing with problem. There was a problem in paradise. The problem was that there is one tree from which she cannot eat, and moreover there is a secret behind the tree and behind the fruit. And there is a wonderful but hidden opportunity of being as gods. So now some problem was, woman was occupied by some problem of a tree, and she was thinking, she was looking at it, how to deal with this problem. Now we can ask a question: Is this situation with the serpent talking to woman? Is it something? Yes, what happened long ago, or this can happen also to us? I can tell you that many people are carrying even snakes with them all the time in the pocket. The snakes are hidden in a smartphone. And as soon as the person takes a smartphone to the hand, the snakes are talking. And they are spreading all interesting information. So we are also exposed to equivalent serpents, to the modern serpents. As soon as we use technical devices, we are exposed to the modern serpents. Now, what is the result of consuming of the news? It's good to know. Let's see the continuation of verse 6. And having taken the fruit of it, she ate. So the woman decided to act, to solve the problem. She ate the fruit. Her understanding of the situation, or perception of the realities, was fully changed by the serpent, by media. She decided to take care of take action and solve the problem. But now she ate, and she was already as gods. But what about the husband? Husband is not yet there. Husband is still submitted to God. This is not good, right? The woman, as a loving wife, wants to help husband also to be as gods. So she tries to help. She is convincing. Yes, she is persuading the husband, Adam, that yes, there is wonderful opportunity. She already took the action, and yes, he should also, or could also, do something. We don't know how long and how intensive was the conversation, but what happened, as verse 6 says further, and she gave also to her husband with her, and they ate. Oh, look at this. God said, don't eat, and they both ate. They did something what is exactly opposite to what God said. God, who created both of them. Their loving father Their loving father said, don't eat for your own good. It's a commandment, but it's a commandment given in a honest, direct way. Don't eat. If you do that, you shall die. But they did something opposite. The serpent totally changed their perspective. Now, is it possible that something similar can happen to us, or are we also exposed to such dangers? Yes, we mentioned that many people are carrying snakes with them as soon as we use some technical equipment. We are exposed to snakes. One example, I'm asking a snake, one of the snakes, what is the origin of life? And the snake gives me a lot of information, all possible information, just they are not related to the truth. In the same way as the first serpent about whom we read did, here is a mix of truth and lies, and the even true information are twisted and presented in that way that you should never come to the right information that God and Jesus created life. You should never discover that. Snake is taking care of that. And the same in this case, the snake presented first lie, and then added some truth to that, presented also from false perspective to give some specific impression. Now, it's good to also to notice that we have collaboration here. So collaboration or communication first between snake or serpent and the woman, and then woman and the husband. Now, if we look at the first aspect, communication between serpent and the woman, it can happen to each of us that a new friend is approaching. It can be someone whom we know or someone whom we don't know, and this new friend is disclosing very special information. This new friend can then disclose that your family members, for example, they are hiding something from you, something what you should know, but they are hiding it from you. But this new friend would like to disclose everything and let you know what you should know. Does this bring a good result? Here, the woman was fully focused on the information which she got from the serpent, but she didn't put enough effort to somehow verify them. She just took that this is a fact and decided to act. Is such way of dealing with a new unexpected information is not wise. It's good to verify, and first of all, if it's related to our family members, for example, or close friends, or the other people whom we love, whom we know, whom we love, and whom we believe they love us. Here it was about God, as was mentioned, a loving Father who created them. Yes, so it is good to pay attention, to be careful. The woman was definitely not careful enough. We'll come to that topic still again, because it's a very teaching and informative story. So now they both ate. The husband decided to support the wife, to have a peace in the family, to have a common standpoint. They both ate. They are all in the same situation. They are now both as gods. What happens? Let's read. And were opened wide the eyes of the two. Oh, really happened what the serpent promised. And they knew that they were naked. And they sewed leaves of a fig tree and made to themselves loincloths. Look, they just solved one problem. But a new problem appeared. They solved the problem of the tree, they ate the fruit, but now they have a new problem. Oh, they are naked. They had a perfect clothing. The skin was a perfect cloth. Until that moment, it was all what they need as cloth. But since that moment of eating, they realized that something is missing. They need additional cloth. The body is not enough. They are naked. And they started to solve the problem. They didn't have problem. They had a fake problem, which they tried to solve, and in that way they created a real problem. And now they are trying to solve a first from the real problems which are coming to them. So they made something from leaves of fig tree. You can imagine from leaves of fig tree how good cloth you can make. That's what they did. And they heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the paradise at dusk, and hid both Adam and his wife from the face of the Lord God in the midst of the tree of the paradise. Here we see something more what is interesting. So the Lord God is walking in the paradise, and Adam and his wife are hiding. We see that Adam and the wife, they have full freedom. They could do whatever they want. Of course, they have rules. In this case, they have only one rule. They had only one rule, one commandment, but they could do whatever they want. They could go, hide, they could eat whatever they wanted. There were no guards looking at them all the time, no cameras installed, no smartphones transmitting all the calls all the time, or microphones hidden. They had complete privacy. They could talk together, they could discuss. God was not listening, not intervening, not interrupting them. They could even hide. They had a full privacy. They were allowed to hide in their house. But now God is coming and is looking. Where are they? They are hidden somewhere, and God wants to talk to them. Verse 9. And God called Adam and said to him, Adam, where are you? And he said to him, Your voice I heard while walking in the paradise, and I feared, for I am naked, and I hid. And said to him, God, who announced to you that you are naked? Unless from the tree of which I gave charge to you, saying, This alone you are not to eat from it. You ate. And Adam said, "The woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave to me from the tree, and I ate." Oh, what an interesting answer. Adam is here blaming God. That God is guilty. God gave him the woman. And because of that, now the woman gave the fruit. That's very interesting answer to the question. Why did he eat? God is guilty that Adam ate the fruit. And the woman gave him. Woman is also guilty. God is guilty that he gave him woman. Woman is guilty that she gave fruit to Adam. And said the Lord God to the woman, "What is this you did?" And said the woman, "The serpent deceived me, and I ate." Look at this answer. The woman says, "The serpent deceived me." At this moment, she understands the situation, that she was deceived. It was absolutely not beneficial for her to eat the fruit, to be like gods. That's how her perception was transformed by the news delivered by the serpent. But that was not the reality. And now, during the talk with the Lord God, she starts to see the realities again as they were before. And she understands that the serpent didn't help her as it looked. The serpent deceived her. And that's the very important statement, because most of us are exposed to some snakes. Of course, many of those technical snakes you can switch off or deinstall, and it's actually a good thing to do. You should consider that. It's good to get rid of as many serpents as possible, but in this or the other way we are exposed to some serpents, and we have to be very careful. The serpent deceived, so this eventual new friend or old friend or someone either whom we know or whom we don't know, who is disclosing to us some fascinating news, or media sharing the news with us, you have to be very careful, because the goal may be to deceive you, to separate you from God and Jesus Christ. There is another aspect which is good to mention here. The woman, at the point of eating fruit, and after that, was convincing the man that he should do the same, and she gave the fruit. She herself ate, and then she gave to the husband to eat. So it's not that the husband took the fruit himself. She was the active person. She plucked it, she ate it herself, and she gave it to the husband. Now we are sure that the motives of, or we can be sure, or we can assume that the motives of the wife were pure, that she really wanted the best for the husband. However, she was deceived. She was not aware of that fact that she is deceived, but that was the fact. And being deceived and having pure motives, she wanted to help husband to do the same good thing as she thought at that moment, for the husband to do the same thing as she did. And she was trying all her best to for the husband to do this. And this is a very interesting situation and also teaching. It may happen to us that some of our family members, being himself or herself deceived by the modern serpent or serpents, wants to help us, and by helping us wants to separate us from God and Jesus Christ, wants us to do something bad. The person did something bad, but the person believes that this is the absolutely right thing, the only right thing on the earth, although it is devastating. And the person wants to help you to do the same. But you understand that this is wrong. That person doesn't understand that can be most loving family member, wants to help you, but you don't accept this help because you know that this is wrong. And what can be the result of that? Interestingly, Jesus Christ, when he was on the earth, he discussed that situation in the gospel. It is actually written in several gospels, but we will be focused on the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 10. And among other words, Jesus is saying, "Do not think that I came to bring peace on earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to set a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's enemies will be those of his own household. He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me." So Jesus Christ mentions here that being obedient to him, loving him, loving Jesus Christ more than the family members, will cause divisions. And you should be aware of that. There are situations in our life that we have to make a choice. Do we want to support a family member who has the best intentions but is deceived? Or we want to be obedient to God and Jesus Christ? And as we will see in this particular story, the price is very high. The price is our life. Now, we see the answers, the questions from the Lord God, the answers, man and woman answered already to the questions and put blames on someone else. Now, the Lord God says something very important. And we can assume that the man and woman, they didn't realize what is going on, that they thought they have just a regular conversation with God as they had before. But that was not the case. That was not a regular, usual conversation. What was that? That was a judgment. That was the first judgment in the world. The first judgment took place in the paradise. And after listening to all involved parties, actually to human parties, to the man and woman, now the Lord God is announcing his judgment. This is now a very important part. Let's read it. And said the Lord God to the serpent, because you did this, accursed are you from all the cattle and from all the wild beasts of the ones upon the earth. Upon your breast and belly you shall go, and earth you shall eat all the days of your life. We don't know how serpent looked before, we know how serpents look now, but the fact that the serpents are moving on the breast and belly, this is effect of this particular punishment. But the Lord God continues, and hatred I will put between you and between the woman, and between your seed and between her seed. He will give heed to your head, and you will give heed to his heel. This part, verse 15, is addressed to different creatures. So the first one, the verse 14, was addressed to the real snake, the living creature snake. But the verse 15 is addressed now to the character behind the serpent, the one really using the serpent. And this very interesting saying, which is prophecy, is talking about hatred between the serpent and the woman, between also their seeds. And then the last sentence says, he, the seed of the woman, will give heed to your head, to the head of serpent and the serpent. And you, the serpent, will give heed to his heel, the heel of the seed of the woman. We will later analyze this verse with help of different sayings, and we will discover what is exactly the meaning of those words. Now we can focus on the next judgment written in the following verses. And to the woman he said, in multiplying I will multiply your distresses and your moanings. In distress you will bear children, and to your husband your submission, and he will dominate you. So this is the judgment of the woman. As a punishment, she will have a lot of distresses, and she in distress and mourning she will bear children, the first woman and every woman who is born after her. A very painful event, giving birth. Should be very joyful. It is very joyful, but it's very painful. That is the punishment. Also, the Lord God said that the woman should be submitted now to the husband, and he will dominate her. The word translated as dominate, it was used also in Genesis chapter 1 in context of blessing of the first people. God said, dominate the earth. So, but this is not about just to dominate. That's not the main meaning. It's more to manage, to rule over, to manage. So, as a punishment, the husband should be a manager of of the wife, and wife should be submitted to him. That is not the original plan. It was not like that in the beginning. But that is what God announces as a punishment, that it will be now. That is how the relation between the first woman and her husband will look like, and in fact there are many such relations in the history of the world, many of such marriage relations. The marriage relations are no more perfect. We continue. And to Adam he said, because you hearkened to the voice of your wife, and ate from the tree of which I gave charge to you, saying, this alone you are not to eat from it, and you ate. Accursed is the land among your works. In distress you will eat it, and all the days of your life. Thorn bushes, thistles will rise to you, and you will eat the grass of the field. By sweat of your face you will eat your bread, until the returning you into the earth, from out of which you were taken. For earth you are, and unto earth you will go. So Adam is also judged. He receives also punishment. Here the Lord God mentions, because you hearkened, you heard to the voice of your wife, you listened to your wife instead of listening to God, and you disobeyed. This disobedience here is very much emphasized. This is not how we can describe it. Disobedience, sin, yes, but it's the very high disrespect. The man and woman, the first married couple, received wonderful gifts from God. Not only life, first of all life, yes. They themselves, they received their home, beautiful home, perfect home, paradise. They received everything what they need to eat, a lot of trees giving wonderful fruits. And they didn't appreciate it. Yes, they started to be focused on the one tree which was absolutely not relevant for them, and they broke God's commandment. By doing that, they showed that they don't appreciate what they have, and that they don't respect the rules of the owner of the paradise. So this lack of appreciation and lack of respect now is punished. They had everything, they didn't appreciate it enough. Then now God is saying, now you will need to take care yourself about the food. It's no more that you will receive everything for free as you received so far. You received, you are unthankful, now you have to work. And God is telling him, oh, you will work very hard. He will work very hard to get something to eat. And distress is also mentioned. So here, distresses. So all of us have distresses in our life. Why do we have them? This is the result of disobedience of our four parents. Because of them, as a punishment, both men and women, they have a lot of distress. Each of us has a lot of distress in our life. That's now part of our life. Unfortunately, it was not like that from the beginning, but this is a punishment. A very sad situation. Now we can read the continuation. Adam called the name of his wife Zoe. Zoe means life, for she was mother of all the living. And made the Lord God to Adam and his wife garments of skins, and he clothed them. Oh, now we read that the Lord God clothed them. They were trying to solve their first problem, and they were not able. They were using fig trees, and the Lord God noticed this is not what can help them. It's not what can serve as a proper cloth. Also, they were so unthankful and so disrespectful. The Lord God still took care of them and gave them, made himself for them a proper clothes, proper garments from skin, a proper strong ones. Now we continue reading. And God said, Behold, Adam has become as one of us, to know good and evil. And now, lest at any time he might stretch out the hand and should take from the tree of life and should eat, and will live into the aeon. That ejected him the Lord God from the paradise of the delicacy, to work the earth from which he was taken. And he cast out Adam and settled him before the paradise of the delicacy, and ordered the cherubim and the flaming broadsword, turning to guard the way of the tree of life. What a disaster. Adam and his wife, they thought that they have problem. They were solving a fake problem disclosed to them via media, via serpent. By solving the fake problem, they created a lot of real problems to themselves. And finally, they lost everything what they had. They were thrown out from the beautiful paradise. What a sad consequences of being disobedient, of being unthankful and disrespectful to God and to Jesus Christ. But you may ask a question, is the paradise lost forever? Is the tree of life lost forever? Is it possible that this serpent spoiled all wonderful project done by God and Jesus Christ? No, that is not the case. We will learn about that also in the moment. We have a few topics which we have to understand better. The topic of the woman and the serpent, and so first of all, who is behind the serpent, and also the topic of the judgment, and topic of the future of people, also future of the paradise and the tree of life. Very interesting ones. You have to take a look at them. And many helpful information are presented in the book of Revelation. We will read now chapter 12, which will help us to to understand better the topic of a woman, a serpent, and the seed of both. And a great sign was seen in the sky. A woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and on her head a garland of 12 stars. And having a child in her womb, she cries out, travailing and being in pain to bring forth. And there was seen another sign in the sky, and behold, a great fire-colored dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns on his heads. And his tail draws the third of the stars of the sky, and he cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who is about to bring forth, that when she may bring forth, he may devour her child. So here we have 2 great signs or symbols. One is the woman, but it's not a real woman, it's a symbol, it's a sign. And the same about snake, a great dragon. Dragon is also a symbol. They are 2 symbols, and a woman is about to give birth. So we already know that those are not a real specific woman, and this is not a real specific dragon. They both are signs or symbols. We can continue with verse 5. And she brought forth a male son, who is about to rule all the nations with a rod of iron. And her child was snatched up to God and to his throne. Who is this child, a male son, who is about to rule all the nations with a rod of iron? This symbol is explained. This symbol and role is explained in the same book of Revelation. It is explained in chapter 19. We read about Jesus Christ. He is described, and among different information we can read the following. Out of his mouth proceeds a sharp sword, that with it he may strike the nations, and he will rule them with a rod of iron. So Jesus Christ is the one who will rule nations with a rod of iron. So it means that he, Jesus Christ, is the child. We identified the child. That is good already. So now we can continue reading. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place made ready from God, and there they may nourish her 1260 days. And there came war in heaven. Michael and his messengers warred against the dragon, and the dragon and his messengers warred, and they did not prevail, nor was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast forth, the old serpent, who is called Devil and Satan, who is leading the whole world astray. He was cast forth to the earth, and his messengers were cast forth with him. So here the old serpent is identified. Satan, the devil, he was there. He was talking through the serpent. He was deceiving, and he successfully deceived the first woman. But it's not only that. Look what is written here. He is leading the whole world astray. He is deceiving the whole world. look how successful is he, deceiving the whole world. We have to be really careful because perfect people were successfully deceived, were led astray. We are not perfect. We are not in perfect conditions. We have to be very careful to not be deceived by this master, Satan the devil, master of deception. And I heard a great voice saying in heaven, "Now came the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Christ, because the accuser of our brothers was cast down, who is accusing them before our God day and night." Oh, so here we learned what Satan the devil was doing. His job was to accuse all the time the servants of God and Jesus, to accuse them all the time before our God. And they, the servants of God and Jesus, overcame him because of the blood of the Lamb and because of the word of their testimony, and they did not love their life to death. Because of this, be glad, you heavens, and those who dwell in them. Woe to those inhabiting the earth and the sea, because the devil went down to you, having great wrath, having known that he has a short time. Woe to the people living on the earth. Why? Because the devil came with great wrath. He is deceiving the whole world, and now he has a great anger because his time is short. If you see what is going on in the world, what is going on the earth, sometimes you may ask a question, why is it like that? So many things are going wrong. That is the reason. The devil, full of anger, he is causing a lot of problems here, deceiving the whole world and making problems, exactly as he did in the paradise, just that now the scale is much bigger. Let's take a look at the continuation. And when the dragon saw that he was cast forth to the earth, he pursued the woman who brought forth the male, and there were given to the woman 2 wings of the great eagle, that she may fly into the wilderness, to her place, where she is nourished a time and times and half a time, from the face of the serpent. And the serpent cast forth out of his mouth water as a river after the woman, that he may cause her to be carried away by the river. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened its mouth, and swallowed up the river that the dragon cast forth out of his mouth. And the dragon was angry against the woman, and went away to make war with the rest of her seed, those keeping the commands of God and having the testimony of Jesus. Now we learn that there is also other part of the seed, rest of the seed of the woman. Who belong to the seed? Those keeping the commands of God and having the testimony of Jesus. All true faithful servants of God and Jesus Christ, who are also informing others about their faith, those belong to the seed of the woman. Jesus Christ is the main part of the seed, but they are also faithful servants who belong also to the seed. Now, on the other side, the enemy is the Satan the devil, who is represented by the snake and also by the dragon, and he is full of anger. He is making war with the faithful servants of God and Jesus. And what about the seed of the snake? In the words of God mentioned in the book of Genesis, we read about also seed of the serpent. We have seed of the woman. What can be the seed of the serpent? There must be people who are reflecting the personality of the devil, who are following, serving them. And of course, they are reflecting also the anger of the Satan, of the devil. So the hatred mentioned by God in his words, written in here in Genesis chapter 3 verse 15, they are fulfilled. And it may happen to you if you put all the efforts to serve God and Jesus faithfully. You may notice that some people hate you without reason. Why? Why is it like that? The reason can be here, that you belong to the seed of woman, and they are seed of the serpent. On the other hand, if you have a very good relations with everyone, and everyone is your friend and is nice to you, and you never face any problems, then it's also a question: is everything okay? Am I belonging to the seed to which I want to belong? Then we have to ask ourselves the question. You have to ask this question to yourself if you see that this situation is there. On the other hand, of course, we don't want to create any problems. We don't want to create hatred. We want to be nice and friendly to everyone and show love to all sorts of people. But unfortunately, there are such situations, even if we try our best. So from Revelation chapter 12, we learned about Satan the devil and woman and the seed of the woman. Now there are some more information about the future and about the judgment. They are also written in the same book of Revelation, just a little bit later in chapter 20. Let's take a look at them. And the devil, who is leading them astray, was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and they will be tormented day and night through the ages of the ages. Oh, there is judgment already to the dragon, to the devil. It's already decided. His future is decided. He knows about that. He knows that his future is in the lake of fire with torments. But he doesn't want to be there alone. Devil wants to have a big company there. He is working very, very actively to have a very big company there. And now the judgment continues. And I saw a great white throne, and him who is sitting on it, from whose face the earth and the sky fled away, and no place was found for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, standing before God, and scrolls were opened. And another scroll was opened, which is that of the life. And the dead were judged out of the things written in the scrolls, according to their works. And the sea gave up those dead in it. And death and Hades gave up the dead in them. And they were judged, each one according to their works. So, we read here about dead people. Death is the consequence of disobedience of the first people. But we read that the dead people will at some point of time stand before God, and they will be judged according to their works. And now, what happens after dead people are judged? And death and Hades were cast into the lake of the fire. This is the second death. Oh, what a nice promise. Death will be removed, will disappear. There will be no more death. But look at those words now. And if anyone was not found written in the scroll of life, he was cast into the lake of fire. This is a very serious thing. The judgment, being judged according to works. And whoever is not written in the scroll of life, cast into the lake of fire. Such horrible future for the people who are not written in the scroll of life. There are more information even what works will lead to that judgment. This information is disclosed in the following chapter 21 of Revelation. Verse 8 says, "But to fearful and unsteadfast and abominable and murderers and warmongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all the liars, their part is in the lake that is burning with fire and brimstone. This is the second death." Here we have a list of sins which will lead to this horrible judgment. Let's take a look at it. We see here liars being mentioned. Liars. A person who lied. Have you ever lied in your life? This unfortunately happened to me. And it doesn't matter if there is a small lie or big lie. The lie is lie. The person who lied is a liar. In case of the first people, it was also not important how much of the fruit they ate, if it was one bite or full fruit or many fruits. They just broke the commandment. So knowing those information here, seeing God's standards, I can say I wouldn't like to go to the judgment. Going to the judgment, being judged according to our works, it's a very serious and tough situation. And I personally really want to avoid. And I can tell you that it is good for you also to put all your efforts to avoid coming to this judgment. But the question is there a way to avoid that? Yes, there is. In the same chapter, here, earlier, chapter 20, we read, we see information about people who were resurrected, and it is said about this group of people, it's so-called first resurrection. Blessed and holy he who is having part in the first resurrection. The second death has no authority over this, but they will be priests of God and of the Christ, and they will reign with him 1,000 years. So there is a group of people who will have very much secure future. You can read the book of Revelation chapter 20 on your own. I can recommend you doing that, and you can please put all your efforts to be in this first group, so that you may not come to the judgment. Now, there is also a question about the future. We read about the future of the people who were not written in the scroll of life. They will be cast into the lake of fire. But what about those being written there? What future will they have? There is also answer to that question, and this leads to the topic of the paradise and the tree of life. In one of the messages directed or said personally by Jesus Christ, written in the book of Revelation chapter 2, we read the following saying of Jesus Christ. To the one conquering, I shall be granting to him to be eating out of the tree of the life, which is in the midst of the paradise of the God. Xulo Zoes. This is exactly the term used or translated here as the tree of life. Those two words, tree of life. And here we read wonderful information. Jesus Christ himself will decide who can eat, the one conquering. Jesus will allow the people who conquer to eat from the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of the God. So this tree of life, which was guarded after throwing out the first people from the paradise, this tree of life will be available to the servants of God and Jesus Christ, to the faithful servant. Jesus himself will decide who is allowed to eat from that tree. So this is a wonderful information. Although people were thrown out from paradise, but Jesus assured us that the paradise and the tree of life is something what didn't disappear forever from the earth. It will be again available to the faithful servants of God and Jesus. There is even more information about that topic. We can read them in chapters 21 and 22 of the book of Revelation. The author, John, is writing, "And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth passed away, and the sea is no more. And I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, made ready as a bride adorned for her husband." The holy city, New Jerusalem, is coming down from God out of heaven, is coming down to the earth to be here. And the continuation of the chapter is describing this beautiful city, and in the beginning of chapter 22 we can read, "And he showed me the river of the water of life, radiant as crystal, going forth out of the throne of God and of the Lamb." Lamb represents Jesus Christ. "In the midst of its street, and on the river, on this side and on that, the tree of life, producing 12 fruits, yielding its fruit according to each month, and the leaves of the tree are for the healing of the nations." So, the tree of life is mentioned here. Moreover, it is said, "And there will no longer be any curse." We read the curses, yes, written in the Genesis chapter 3. The woman was cursed, the man was cursed, serpent as well. But there will be no longer any curses. Those curses will be no more valid. And the tree of life will be available for the faithful servants of God and Jesus. And the death will be also fully removed. A wonderful perspective. A life in a paradise again. This is God's plan, and Book of Revelation reveals that this will happen. And in this way, we reached the end of Genesis chapter 3.